Hi there, this is Katie Groves, and I'm sorry this is dark, but we just took a shower and so we can't be in our bathroom. It's just too hot. In this video, we are going to give accounts of things we witnessed in the child snuff trafficking ring we grew up in. That was run by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States. For those of you who are unaware that the CIA is involved in such things, we will put a link to our personal testimony about it in the description below, and also a link to an Australian survivor who was used by the CIA, named Fiona Barnett. We'll put a link to her blog. In this video, we are going to be talking about the most graphically violent things done to children imaginable. And we may also talk about traumas we witnessed being done to adults as well. If you cannot handle that or don't want to hear that, no shame to you. Please skip over this video. The reason we are doing this is because we think it is important to document the horrors that we went through, that we witnessed others go through, so that people who are able to listen have a better idea of what's going on, and so that those who were lost in the atrocities we endured are honored. Right now, we look like we're struggling because we are struggling to hold back a tidal wave of emotion that came up for us just now in doing some yoga. We hadn't done it in a long time, and it always brings things up. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch through polyfragmented systems of dissociative parts. If you don't know what that means, I'll put a link to an article about what polyfragmented dissociative identity disorder is in the description below. It was written by someone who's been through some similar things to us. We're going to switch through these systems, and we're going to access a combination of traumatic memories and processed memories. We have had to process our traumas in pieces, and so a lot of the traumas we're going to speak of in this video will be partially processed. So you may see us speak in one moment about something as if it happened in the past, and we're aware that we're not there anymore. And then we may speak about a different aspect of that very same event as if it's happening right now, and we're there still right now. If you're going to find something like that disorienting, you may also want to skip over this video. Okay, all that being said, here we go. There was a little boy named Tommy. This is what we named him. We don't know what his name was, and we feared that it was an insult to his heritage as he was trafficked into the United States from Mongolia. But we don't know any Mongolian names. He was about 2 years old, and he was murdered in a snuff film. In front of us, he was dismembered, his genitals removed. He was burned anally. Other things happened to him that we can't speak about without vomiting. And then he was fed to lions. We ourselves were dressed up in togas, like we were in the Roman Empire, along with other MK Ultra kids and trafficked kids who may not have been programmed, but were being used. What happened to Tommy hit us harder than with most of the other kids. There was something about him, a spirit, an energy, that was so light and so innocent. I cannot describe how horrible it was to hear him scream. There was a little girl, Jessica. At least that's what we called her. We don't know if that was her real name or what her real name was. She had curly blonde hair, blue eyes, I think, and tan skin, although that could have just been the light. She was murdered alongside a girl who we call Angelina. We call all Central American girls, specifically Guatemalan girls, who looked like this girl, Angelina, as that was part of our programming. In this snuff film, I was named Bitch, Jessica was named Whore, and Angelina was named Cunt. And after horrific sexual assaults that I can't talk about, I was forced to kill them both. There's a little boy. I don't know his name. We didn't give him a name that I can remember. In this memory, he's blindfolded with medical wrap. May have had his eyes removed. I don't know. I can't get a clear answer from my dissociative parts because it's too traumatic, too unprocessed. We remember this boy's cries and screams very well. He was maybe 8, 9 years old, but very little. I think he'd been there a while because he was extremely gaunt and weathered, like he'd been subjected to drugs for a while. Remember that he had sandy blonde hair and very tan skin. He was dismembered, alive. There was cauterizations, and there was rape of the wounds where his appendages had been. We were forced to participate in that. It's hard for us to say or think about without vomiting. We're already feeling the vomit about to come up. If there's one thing we've learned how to do is suppress vomit. That was a very early part of our MK Ultra training. The smell. The smell was horrifying. But that was the least of it. It was the child's pain. We have no idea where this boy came from. If he had a mother, what she was like, father, siblings, friends. We know nothing of his former life, if he had one. But I do not think that he had been trafficked for all his life. It seemed like he had been there for a while in this ring, but he may have been snatched up off the streets or newly broken in somewhere else. For the record, broken in is a term used by traffickers to talk about a victim who is psychologically broken down, often addicted to drugs forcibly, so that they're easier to control. Someone who, when raped, won't fight back. Someone who will do what they're told. It's a disgusting phrase. And I'm sorry that we used it, but it's the language that we know. There was a girl An Armenian girl, maybe 9 years old. Maybe 10, I'm not sure. She was very skinny. Darker skinned, darker features. She was beautiful. She looked like she'd been a tomboy. And was very kind, very quiet and introverted. May have been gay, may have been trans. I don't know. But we call her she because that's what we don't know otherwise. She was murdered in one of our programming sessions. We were instructed to play patty cake with her in a concrete cell. When we were, don't know how old, maybe 8 ourselves. A Russian man came bursting in through the door and started yelling, raving, ranting about how this was the mafia. Didn't we know this wasn't fun and games? This was not for play. And partly through his rant, without even looking at her, hardly, that we could see, if at all. He shot her in the head, right in front of me, and then he just kept going as if he hadn't done anything at all. It was to snap my mind. Get me to stop playing, to lose my impulse, to be a carefree child. But that was a life, that was a person, that girl who was killed. To him, to the programmers, she was nothing. She wasn't even a she was an it, an object, disposable. We ourselves were not just an object, though. We were a tool, but we weren't human. And I suppose she was in their eyes a tool, but we were a better tool. That's why we got to live, and she died. That's what they told us. We don't know her name. We still dare not name her, for some reason. But we wish her soul peace. And apologize for background noise. It's our neighbors. Back to where we were. Letting her go. There was an infant who we were told was our own. I don't know whose she was, but they made us carve out her brain through the soft part of her head with an ice cream scoop.